Boy. I know y'all didn't see this one coming. I know the Cleveland Browns organization did not see it turning this way. They are under major heat for disrespecting the intelligence of Shedeur Sanders. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody's jobs are at stake. You have to remember going at training camp, the narrative around Shedeur Sanders were his work habits. He was behind. He wasn't smart enough to comprehend the playbook. Oh, he's just behind. He's having a hard time grasping the playbook. They had to insult the man's intelligence to talk about things you couldn't see, to try to get you to ignore the things you could see, which was throw for throw. Dillon Gabriel could never see this dude. Throw for throw, skill for skill. Dillon Gabriel was never on his level, and everybody sees it. This organization is facing major heat right now. We got to get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. Let's get right into things. So early on, before the season even started, the narrative that was placed on Shedeur Sanders was he wasn't smart enough to grasp the playbook. He couldn't command the huddle. He couldn't handle getting the protection set, the pre-snap motions. He couldn't handle any of this. That was the narrative. They had to try to make it seem like he was dumb because we weren't blind to the fact that we can look at him and look at Dillon Gabriel and see throw for throw, move for move. They're not even on the same playing field. Dillon Gabriel can't tie this man's sneakers. But they wanted to try to make it about things we technically couldn't see, but they had to insult the man's intelligence while doing it. Everybody's questioning what the hell has been going on. It looks like you guys wasted the first half of the season. Let's get right into it, man. This is wild work. We're not going to play no games. Mary Kay Cabot, I'm going to pull you up. I got receipts on YouTube. I ain't playing no games.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's consistently getting better. That's the best thing you can say. And I think you see instincts. I think you see
This is Albert Breer, a Shedeur hater, anybody but Shedeur guy.
A talent level. Now, again, this isn't like a Josh Allen or anything like that we're talking about, but I do think he looks to me more talented than Dillon Gabriel. So that's showing up. And I do think there's a feel out there that's, maybe I don't know, I've gone back and forth on this a bunch because you go back and you think about what do you miss in practice, and what could the coaches and the front office people, what could they have missed in practice? And I think back to Jimmy Garoppolo, right? And this was 11 years ago now, on training camp. I had a couple months ago, and it was they took this guy in the second round, and then they put him in a preseason. They put him in another preseason game. After the next, to the point where he got the nickname in New England, Game Time. Lights came on. He had a way of kind of rising to the occasion, and I wonder if there's a little bit of that with Shedeur, where look, you put a lot of rookies in these situations, and that straight line that you want them to be on starts to shake, and I don't get that sense at all with Shedeur, and I'm sure part of that is being who he is and having the father he's had and having played under a great deal of pressure his entire life, being Deion's son. So you do get that sense that he's got a good feel for the game. And, I think it's gotten better week over week. So this is what we said at the start when he got in there was he keeps earning his opportunities. And, now he's done enough to be the starter the rest of the year. So you get a more full evaluation on him, and we'll see what they think at the end of the season. It's still hard for me to imagine.
Now, this is somebody. Now look at his first comment. Remember when Breer said Shedeur was so far behind and wasn't doing what he was supposed to? Remember when Breer ran interference for the Browns and spewed out every negative rumor he could about 12? Pepperidge Farms remembers. This is now people like Albert Breer want to question. Now people want to question what they saw in Dillon Gabriel.
I was very critical of Shedeur before the draft in a way other people weren't. I got killed for it, right? Okay. So I told you what the league thought of him. And like, I think that got proven out over draft weekend. That's fair. I'll tell you that the league, I think, was a little higher than I even knew on Dillon Gabriel. However, them being higher than I knew on Dillon Gabriel and Dillon Gabriel going over Shedeur Sanders wasn't a result I saw coming based on all of the calls that I made over the course of however many weeks leading up to the draft. And I just tell you, like, the comps that I was getting on those two guys sort of reflect what you're saying. You know, I think this is where you can be critical of the Browns, right? Like, the comps I was getting on Dillon Gabriel were poor man's Tua, Chase Daniel. It was like that versus with Shedeur, it was more Geno Smith, Teddy Bridgewater, guys who were starters but weren't, like, great starters in the league. You know what I mean? So, like, I just think, like, I think that's where you can say yes. Like, the evaluation, like, even though Shedeur.
Yeah. He don't even know how to say it. They messed up on the evaluation and they lied and insulted his intelligence and tried to make it seem like he wasn't smart enough to grasp a playbook all of a sudden. All of a sudden, Shedeur Sanders isn't smart enough to grasp a playbook. Like, come on, man. This is why they're under so much heat right now. Let's get into this right here.
He was wrong. He did pick Dillon Gabriel. He did think Gabriel was the quarterback that gave him the better chance to win, the quarterback they drafted ahead of Shedeur. I don't think you can find a single draft analyst that had Dillon Gabriel rated ahead of Shedeur Sanders.
Facts. And they tried to spew this. They tried everything under the sun to push this so much. So they had Shedeur Sanders throwing next to trash cans, throwing to janitors and car parking attendants at practice on a side field. They told you, they tried to convince you that the man wasn't smart enough to understand the playbook.
But the Cleveland Browns, I guess, did. I really do wonder if they didn't draft Gabriel in the third, how far would he have fallen? Because what other teams had him that high on the draft board? And then when Shedeur was still available in the fifth, it was a no-brainer. And it's being proven right now, the difference between the two quarterbacks. I mean, how are people who don't play football, who don't scout, how were we right and Stefanski and the Browns were wrong? It was obvious to the eye. It was obvious to the analysts that Shedeur Sanders was a better prospect coming out of college than Dillon Gabriel. The arm strength, the mobility, the size, it's all there. And now you can't even question it when he goes out and has 4 total touchdowns, when he goes out and has more deep shots than we've had all season long. I mean, guys.
Yeah. Look, the nonsense that was spewed by you too, Mary Kay. You too, Mary Kay. Now, we're going to listen to her say, oh, well, this isn't a big enough sample size. 7 games, not a big enough. They're going to do all they can to minimize what Shedeur Sanders is doing, just like they did all they could to convince you that he wasn't smart enough to understand a playbook or understand anything pre-snap to actually be on the field.
If he does play well, you still don't feel that way, good, bad, or indifferent, of what they should do in the offseason?
I still think it's a small sample size, and I do think it would be a risk to have 2 really nice first-round picks, and if you see a quarterback there that you really like in the first round of the draft, I don't know what else I would necessarily want to spend a first-round pick on. But let me just say that performance that Shedeur Sanders put on against the Titans, I think that started to turn the tide within the organization. And if he really can prove that he is this gamer and he is this playmaker, then maybe they don't need to draft that quarterback. He's got 4 more chances to show that he is the guy. And, I was very impressed with that game. I just thought that he did so many things. One of the other things, in addition to the...
Listen, man, Mary Kay, she don't want Shedeur there. She was a part of the anybody but Shedeur clan. You already know, man. The Cleveland Browns are in major heat as they have been exposed for trying to insult the man's intelligence with this propaganda. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. This is Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel.